If your petunias handed you a basket of leggy green vines this July and barely a flower, the plant is not broken, and you are not failing it. There is one July fix, and it is drastic enough that most gardeners never dare do it. If you want a garden that actually rewards the work, subscribe and stay with me. It genuinely helps. If your basket is more vine than flower right now, this is exactly the video you needed to click. Here is the good news first. This is fixable in a single move, and once you see why it works, you will never let a petunia get away from you again. So let us look at what you are actually staring at. Long stems trailing right down over the edge of the basket, going bare and a little woody near the base, a tangle of leaf, and right at the very tips, a handful of tired blooms hanging on, if you are lucky. Lots of green, almost no color. You have watered it. You have probably fed it. And still, it just keeps making more vine. Here is the thing. That plant is not sick, and water is not the answer. You cannot pour your way out of this one. The petunia is stuck in the wrong growth phase, and until you break it out, it will keep doing exactly what it is doing right now. Let me explain what has gone wrong, because the mechanism is simple once you see it. Petunias are annuals racing against one season. They get one summer, that is all, and their whole job is to flower, set seed, and finish. By midsummer, those stems have done just that. They have stretched, gone woody at the base, and set seed at the tips. And that is the part that matters. Once a petunia flowers and starts making seed, it reads that as job done. From the plant's point of view, the mission is complete. So instead of pushing out new buds, it pours its energy into more stem and more leaf. It has quietly stopped trying to bloom for you. So why did it stop? Almost always because it has quietly decided its work for the year is finished. That is why the usual fixes get you nowhere. Deadheading one bloom at a time barely keeps up. You snip a faded flower here, another there, and the plant is setting seed faster than you can chase it. And no amount of extra water turns leggy growth back into blooms. More water on a leggy petunia just gives you a bigger, thirstier tangle of the same green vine. Now here is the part you cannot ignore. Left alone, this only goes one way. As the rest of summer runs out, that basket gets barer, woodier, and sadder by the week. The tired blooms at the tips drop off, and nothing replaces them. The window to turn it around is not next month, and it is not whenever you happen to get to it. It is right now, in July. Because there is one move that breaks a petunia out of this phase and forces it to start flowering again. And I will be honest with you, it feels brutal the first time you do it. It goes against everything your gut is telling you when you look at that basket. The fix is to cut the whole plant back hard. Right now, mid-season. By about 1/3 to a half, some stems even harder than that. And I am going to show you exactly how far to go, and precisely where every single cut has to land, so it comes back thicker and fuller instead of dying on you. So here is how you make that hard cut. 1/3 to a half off the whole plant, some stems shorter still, without wrecking it. Take clean scissors or sharp shears, whatever you have that actually cuts, and start taking the length off. Not a nervous little trim. A real cut. You want the whole basket brought back by about 1/3 to a half, and those long, straggly runners that have gone woody and bare, take them harder still. Be bold here. Timid never works. But where you cut matters just as much as how much. This is the part most people get wrong. Every single cut wants to land just above a leaf node. That is the little joint on the stem where a leaf comes out, and it is the only place the plant can push fresh growth from. Cut just above it, a small snip above that green joint, and you are aiming the plant at exactly where you want the new shoots. And here is why it works. Because this is not just tidying. Every stem you shorten forces the plant to branch from lower down. One stem becomes 2, sometimes 3. And each of those new shoots is a fresh flowering point. So one afternoon with the scissors turns a handful of tired trailing vines into a whole mound of buds. That is the trade. A few long bare stems now, for a plant packed with flower a couple of weeks from now. Now I know how this feels. Taking sharp scissors to a living, growing plant in the middle of July feels wrong, almost cruel. And for about a week the basket looks bare and sparse and honestly a bit sad. All stubby stems and gaps. That is completely normal. You have not killed it. You have not done anything wrong. That bare week is the plant regrouping, and it is the price of everything that comes after it. Trust it. There is one rule, though, that saves the plant, and if you break it, you will lose stems. Never cut into bare brown wood with no leaves on it. Petunias really struggle to break from a truly leafless stem. There is nothing there for them to grow from. So no matter how tempting it is to take a stem right down to the base, do not chase it into that dead brown length. Instead, on every stem you shorten, leave some green with a leaf or two still on it. Always. Even a couple of small leaves is enough. That green is not decoration, it is the engine. It is what feeds the new shoots while they push out. Bare brown gives you nothing. Green with a leaf or two gives you flowers. Keep that in your head with every single cut. And work right across the whole basket while you are at it, evenly all the way round. Do not just hack the front and leave the back long. If you cut it lopsided, it comes back lopsided, heavy on one side and thin on the other. Turn the basket as you go, keep it balanced, and it will fill back in as a nice even dome instead of a shaggy mess. While you have got the scissors out, tell me down in the comments which plant is fighting you this summer. Petunias, fuchsias, a rose that just will not behave, whatever it is. I read them. And if this is the honest kind of advice you have been after, take a second to subscribe, then let us get the feeding right. Because the chop is only half the job. Really, only half. You have just taken a mound of growth off this plant and asked it to build a whole new flush from those green leaf joints, and that takes fuel. So the moment those shears go down, you have turned a leggy petunia into a genuinely hungry one, and now the whole result comes down to one choice. There is one feed that brings it back covered in buds, and there is one that sends it straight back into the leggy green leaf you just spent the afternoon cutting off. And almost every gardener, with the best intentions, reaches for the wrong one. The feed that brings it back in bud instead of back in leaf is potassium. And the one almost everyone grabs, a high-nitrogen lawn-style feed, does the opposite. Because nitrogen only buys you more of the leafy growth you just spent the afternoon cutting away. Think about what nitrogen is for. It is the green feed. It is what you throw at a lawn when you want thick, soft, sprawling blades. Give that to a petunia and you undo the whole point of the chop. You cut the plant back to force flowers, and then you hand it the one thing that pushes stem and leaf instead. Soft, hungry, leggy growth all over again. So put the general purpose stuff and the lawn feed to one side. Not now. Not for this. What you want is the opposite. Potassium is what pays for flowers. That is the whole line to remember. Potassium is what tells those fresh shoots to stop making leaf and start setting buds. Every new shoot that broke from below where you cut is a decision waiting to be made, leaf or flower, and potassium is what tips it toward flower. Feed it right, and the plant spends its energy exactly where you want it. Here is the good news. You almost certainly already own the right feed, and it costs next to nothing. A high-potassium liquid feed. An ordinary tomato feed works perfectly. The same bottle you use on your tomatoes is the same feed your petunias have been asking for. Because a heavy-blooming annual and a fruiting tomato want the same thing, potassium to pay for the show. Diluted to the label rate. Not stronger, not a heavy slug of it. Just what the bottle tells you in a full watering can. Then the timing, and this matters as much as the feed itself. Water it on once a week. Weekly and often beats one big dose every time. A petunia does not want a feast and then a fortnight of nothing. It wants a steady, gentle drip of what it needs, week after week, so it never runs short and never gets scorched. So make it a habit. Same day each week, tomato feed in the can, straight onto the compost. That is it. That is the feeding done. A couple of things around it that keep the whole thing working. Keep the compost just moist, but never waterlogged. Stick a finger in an inch down. If it is dry, water. If it is still damp, leave it. Baskets dry out fast in July heat, so you may be checking daily. But soggy roots will rot faster than dry ones will wilt. And give the basket as much sun as you can. Move it if you have to. Flowers are paid for by light and potassium together, and a petunias in shade will sulk no matter how well you feed it. Full sun, a weekly potash feed, compost kept just damp. That is the recipe. Now remember that first week after the chop, when the basket looked bare and sparse and a bit sorry for itself. Watch what happens next. Those short green stumps you left, each with a leaf or two still on them, start breaking new shoots from lower down. And this time, fed on potassium instead of nitrogen, they are not racing to make more vine. They are setting buds. The plant that read seed as job done has been reset, and it is building flowers again. So when will you see it? Sooner than you would think. Within 2 to 3 weeks of the chop and that first potash feed, the plant comes back covered in flowers, tighter, fuller, mounded, better than it was before you ever picked up the scissors. Where you had a few tired trailing stems, you get a dome of color, a bee working across it in the sun. And it keeps going. Hold the weekly feed steady, pinch out the odd straggler that shoots up past the rest, and your petunias will bloom nonstop right through until the first frost. No summer slump, no bare basket, just flowers from now until the cold finally stops them. This is the 1 July job most gardeners skip, the hard chop above the leaf nodes, then the weekly tomato feed. That is all it takes to turn a tired, leggy basket back into a mound of color. Do this 1 July job, and by August you will have a basket you cannot stop looking at. Go and cut it back today. It really is that simple.